is hello guys, hello. Gaming full cam, let's see. Okay, hello guys, how are you on this fine noon day, blah 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 blah. What we're gonna do is figure out. I think that's a good one. Let me see. Okay, that's a perfectly good way. Um, I like how my headphones situated behind the head. You can see my bald spots. I wanna one day get like do a hair transfer some of the hair follicle from here to top here to get my hair back. I'm using Rogan Series. Real. Okay, what we're doing first is not in the CPP folder. First, I'm gonna new folder notes. Move this here, 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 here. Book. Okay, CP++ assignment. Okay. The first thing we're gonna do is my internet, what the HTML the ICWP. Look at the notes. No, the weekly studies. We go to weekly study. We open up week 2. The first thing we're gonna do is make a sidebar, make like 2 of them together. And we're gonna look up the lectures, the 2 lectures. What we're gonna do is look up the 2 lectures, read them. We're gonna read this lecture and the next lecture. Within HTML5, there are a number of semantic structural elements. A semantic element clearly describes its meaning to both browser and developer. In its container tag or element tag, it clearly defines what it does. Oh, that's interesting. So this is why HTML semantic tags are good. That can be used to configure different. These elements are used in conjunction with a div or other elements to structure a web page in a more meaningful way. Basically, semantic elements are elements that have meaning. For example, copyrights and private policy that reside in the footer of a web page. You will include these in the HTML footer element. The HTML structural elements are header, nav for navigation. Main is like the body, the bulk of your web page. Header is the header, 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 header for you for the title or logo of your web page. Where you want the title or logo. Navigation. At the end of navigation, where you click your links. blah. You will incorporate the structure element within one project. A great explanation. Header usually a big strip across the big heading logo, perhaps usually a big strip across the top with a big heading logo. Navigating to the site's main sections, usually representing menu buttons, links, or tabs. Sidebar, intentional. Article, these are the header, navigation links, the sidebar, or tangential, and the footer. Oh, aside, yeah. Aside, basically, we use a side or sidebar. A side is structural. Basically, anything that create blocks inside the body, inside the web page, that create blocks are called intended for to structure the intended to structure it. It's inside the body. Then we do paragraph, a subsection. Blocks that relate articles. Similar to what is more grouped in a single part of the page that constitutes a single instead of article headlines or a theme. It is considered best practice to begin a section with a heading. You can break articles up into different sections or sections up to different articles so they can be used together. So a group of sections is called an article. A group of article is called a section. A group of sections is you can use an article. If it's a sound. Is it inline non-semantic? Then is an inline non-semantic element where you should only use if you can't think of a better semantic text element to wrap your content, or if you don't want to add any specific meaning. So what I know when I create a web page at the start right now, hello Alex, I think I'm gonna have to mute speech chat. I think I'm gonna keep it on. I think I'm gonna keep it unmuted because while I'm doing my work, I should not have it. Even though I'm streaming, I want to make sure I get my shit done and stuff like that. I'll check your speech chat every so often. And I'll just keep it on. Alright, let me see. The document, object, model. Describes the web page that you are viewing by the tags used to create the document. What does that mean? Sometimes I don't like YouTube videos that's it's so close. The camera is so fucking close to their face. It just it gets me awkward. Like when you're like so close, when you're so close, when you're so fucking close, like this, you just feel awkward. Like the whole time, you just feel weird. There's some people that like that, but it just feels weird to me. Yeah, that's describe the web page you are viewing. That word. Okay. Next is HTML list. HTML has special list marking tags to create lists. OL list, OL, UL, and DL. That's ordered, unordered, and description lists. With the ordered and unordered being with the ordered and unordered being the most common. All lists are rendered as a block display with empty white space above and below the list. I gotta find the list section. The order list, also known as oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell fucking yeah. You require the design it, but hell yeah. Design and implement a final programming project. I love that for C++. Fuck it, I don't have to go anywhere. We're gonna be fucking neat and do our shit. Get a fucking online class. I love online classes. Tests, I'll say this and I'll say this multiple times. Tests do not indicate your readiness and understanding programming. If you have a test, tests do not indicate your level of understanding programming. They will never, they don't do nothing with tests. Projects indicate your understanding of programming. Projects indicate your understanding of programming, and it's always been. That's why you see a lot of portfolios and stuff like that. The content in your webpage will determine the type of list you use. No crime. The content of your webpage determine type of list you use. Let me go to my weekly study, week 1. Let's this structural elements. Copy. Hello, Jody man. Hello, Jody man. How are you? Right now, I'm doing some college work and okay, that was weird. Top 10 most used HTML tags. Most commonly used HTML tags are heading tags H1 to H6, emphasis tag should be nested in a text block, like paragraph. Strong emphasis on the text, bolded. Also bolded, strong. Anchor tag. This is used to when you hyperlink stuff. Ordered list, UL, and ordered list, OL. I list item is used as nested in ordered and unordered list. Horizontal break. Paragraph level thematic break by default horizontal line. Image image tag, source is location. Okay, we finished that lecture. I gotta check something. This is the ITWP 1000. This is just re-emphasizing the lecture. GIF is a graphic interchange format. Example of transparent. I'm playing the example of animated GIF. Pair with a transparent background. Animated. JPEG can use JPEG does not support transparency or animation. PNG is use a PNG. WebP. Let me find where I put WebP. WebP is a newer format introduced 2010. Introduced in 2010. Supported in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari browsers. Lossy, you'll have pixel lossy compression. You'll have pixel degradation when you resize or compress it. Lossless means you'll have minimal to no loss. Compress all. Low quality. Low compression, high quality. Low compression, low quality. High compression, low quality. Lossy compression. Image optimization. Is very important for graphic because you should always keep page speed. Not both. Keep, not keep. Keep page speed and page load times in mind. Process of creating an image with the lowest file size that renders a good quality image. Photos need to be put through an image editor to optimize the image before using it within your web page. Reduce file size, reduce the dimensions with the actual width and height. GIMP, image editing tools are GIMP, Pixel XR, Adobe Photoshop. Some basic gallery: use image whenever possible. Image optimization, standardization. Hello 0x2. Hello 0AX2. How are you today? How are you on this fine day? What we're doing is I'm just doing getting my notes situated from the lectures. This is after writing the note for the books. Then after that, we just images whenever possible. Consider file image size. File image file size versus image quality. Image load time. Appropriate resolution. Specify image dimensions with height and width. Type attribute. Be aware of brightness and contrast. Image file names. Image element. I think that's in if you use all lowercase, do not use punctuation symbols or spaces. Do not change the file extensions. Keep your file name. All images should reside in an images folder or assets folder. All CSS should have a separate folder. All JavaScript or other script files should have a separate folder. Imaging and accessibility. Image source. Always include the alt attribute. Always include this for accessibility purposes. You forgot source title. recommends always use or tag. Web access ability initiative 2.0. Have color perception deficiencies. Provide technical for every non-text element. Include all images. The text as a value. Configure the text as a value. Include the alt attribute within your image elements. Now let's move on to discussing the image element itself. So the alt and the title should be the same. Usually alt and title is the same. Image source, this is an absolute because we're getting an absolute because we're getting a target file not located on the local server. Images. This is a figure and this is a fig caption. It should not be done using the height and width. It should be done within the image editor. If you want to resize a graphic, it should not be done using the height or width. Resize an image via image editor if you know exact dimension to appear within a web page. Although, this better not be week one. Oh no. The figure element comprises element comprises a unit of content that is self-contained, such as an image, along with one optional big caption element. Provides caption for the figure both are block display elements. See the example of the fake caption here. Style equals text align text center. Okay. The meter element displays a visual gauge of numeric value. But the meter element has several to include value, min, max. The value, the minimum you can go, the maximum. So I can display the bar that depicts a numeric value within a specific range. Here. Let me see the progress. Try it yourself. Progress, downloading progress. Progress ID file. Value 32, max 100, 32%. Okay. If I change this to 1,000 and run it, 1,000. Change this to 302. You can probably use JavaScript to configure the progress element. We use value, max, and min. JavaScript more likely. A lot of backgrounds are not added web agency, but let me give you some basic. to implement background into web page and adjust the transparency and opacity use background color then the background image property. So if the background image fails to work on a browser, this can be, the color can be used in lieu of it. There's background color, background image, background attachment, background position, background. I want to see the shorthand property. Background repeat, don't repeat, it just appear background repeat. The background position, it starts from the top right. Repeat background. Backgrounds can interfere with the readability of the text and other elements of the web page. They should be subtle, dimmed, and not busy. Be careful of the file size. Keep them small and use the repeat and keep them simple. Let me find the image map section now. Image maps, there we go. An image map is an image that can be used as one or more hyperlinks. Typically, image map will have multiple clickable or selectable areas. They're linked to this is called hotspots. They're linked to another area, another web page or website. The selectable areas are called hotspots. The selectable areas can be configured with 3 shades. Requires the user image element, map element, one or more areas. The map element container tag that indicates the beginning and ending of an image map description. Basically defines the map in a web page. The name attribute is coded to associate the map type with its corresponding. The ID attribute is used to have the same must have the same value as the name attribute. To associate a map element with an image, the useMap attribute is used. The area element defines the coordinates or edges of the clickable area and is a void tag. It uses href, alt, title, shape, and cores attribute. The alt attribute provides a text description for screen readers. The title attribute to specify the text that some browser may display as a tooltop and not tooltip. The chords attribute indicates the coordinate position. Web authoring tools such as Dreamweaver Let me do the Q&A. Max Whisk property. Okay. The CSS property. Minimum width. The order between the content and border of element. No. The area between the content and border, that's the padding. CSS property. That's the padding property. Single point. Choose a story mode. Test. A square image associated with a okay, that's true. Within a specified range, that's false. I show an element that displays a bar. Let's see the meter of progress. Let's see, image with no. That's lossless. That's straight caption. Yep, that's hotspot. Ajit. Ooh, I think that's interlaced. Multiple background images. Background clip, I think. It configures the shadow, text shadow. The visual dimensions of pixel and the resolution. A small image configured. That's a thumbnail image. A small attribute that configures text. That's alt. That's padding. No. In the padding and the margin. Border. gonna get some water and start reading. I got 47 fucking pages to read. Every 6 hours I read. Every 3 hours I read. For while today it's I read, do the discussion, then do the homework. Before that, before I even start this, yep, week 5. Oh, week 5. Okay, let me go get my water. Give me a second. Then we're gonna read through 47 pages of notes. This is my ITWP course has more notes than my CPP course. My God. Oh God. All right, give me a second. Let me get some water. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm making my food right now. Um, then we're gonna read a 47-page document for studying just for this chapter. One thing the professor is gonna give us is a midterm project guide, so I'm gonna make a midterm document. On the first day I get there, I'm gonna get a midterm document. First, I'm gonna get the lecture notes. Then I'm gonna pull all the midterm questions and basically pull them slowly, chapter by chapter. Once I pull them, there's gonna be 40 questions, probably 40 questions. There's gonna probably I'm gonna say 50 questions, and okay. I'll be able to finish the discussion and homework too today for one of my classes, and discussion and what's my other class? What does my other class have? Let me see my other class what it has. Daily question and GitHub skill. I can do the daily question, the initial response, and the GitHub skills, and the programming assignment. Okay, guys, give me a second. I'm gonna get my food, get it ready, and come back and eat on stream, whatever. I'm gonna make myself a bagel. Put in I'm not gonna put an egg in it. I should put a. I'm gonna make I got a low carb tortilla, eggs, halal, um, honey, uh, uh, custard cream, milk, Iraqi style. Um, with some tomatoes and eggs on top of it. I like mixing food. I just like mixing food. I want to see does this style taste good? Does it taste good? Give me a second. Be right back. We're gonna continue on. Ba, 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 ba. Okay, let's continue. Let's see. Okay, we're gonna be reading Chapter 4. Chapter 4, Visual Elements and Graphics. A key component of a compelling website is the use of interesting and appropriate graphics. The most commonly used HTML tags are the heading element container. Ooh, that's an egg. Heading element container. Paragraph emphasis tag should be nested in text block tag. Paragraph. An emphasis tag could be nested in a text block tag like paragraph. EM. Strong emphasis on the text and also bolded strong. Anchor tag A. An order list UL. Order list OL. List item LI is used to be nested in order on order list. HR is a paragraph thematic break by default. By default, it is horizontal line. Image source location. Image second source location. Div submit divides content no thematic meaning. A DOM, not the other kind of a DOM, is not a domination. It's a document object model. Describes the web page you are viewing by the tags used to create the web page. Used to create the document. It is the result of the code and the final output of the browser. It can be manipulated with JavaScript after it has been rendered. Markup should be device agnostic, which is where anywhere you see it, it should be rendered the same way. Order lists. Lists are used in web pages to organize information and make the page clearer and easier to read. HTML can be used to create three types of lists: description lists, order lists, and unordered lists. All lists are rendered in a block display with an empty space above and below. Order list is displays the numbering of or lettering system to itemize the information they contain. They can be organized by the use of numerals, default uppercase letters, lowercase letters, uppercase Roman numerals, and lowercase Roman numerals. It automatically displays as numbers. Begin with OL and end with OL. Begin with order list container. To use order list is the OL container. Each list item begins with the LI tag and ends with the LI tag. You can't use it by itself, it has to be nested between the order list container tag. The purpose of an attribute is to modify the properties of an HTML element. The type attribute configures the symbol used for ordering the list. Type 1 equals numerals 1, 2, 3, 4. Type A uppercase, lowercase a, lowercase letters. Type I Roman numerals, lowercase I Roman, lowercase numerals. A start attribute is used because when you need the list to begin with an integer value other than 1. Use HTML5 reverse equals reverse attribute equals reversed to configure the list marker to display in descending. Type equals 1, start equals 4. Is that working? Okay. Use the HTML5 reverse attribute reverse equals reverse to configure the list marker to display in descending. An order list displays a bullet or list marker by default. The order list displays numerals by default. An order list displays a bullet or list marker before each entry in the list. This bullet can be one of several types: disk, square, or circle. On order list UL list text LI. Description list can be used to organize terms in the description. The terms stand out, and the description can be as long as needed to convey your message, and each term begins on its own line of margin. Each description begins on its own line and is indented handy for answering frequently asked questions and their answers. Any type of information that consists of a number or corresponding terms and longer descriptions is well suited to be organized in a description list. Sample description, list description, term description definition. Description term, description definition. Descri- To use special characters in your web page document, you need to use a special character, sometimes called entity characters, like copyright. Use special character code and copy to display copyright. And NBSP, I need to check something really quickly. Courses, ITWP, this, grades. Discussion 2 module discussion. Let me check both attempts. Okay. Okay, let's see. And BSP would stand for non-breaking space, which means you want small number of spaces in your text multiple times used in a row indicate multiple blank space. If you use many special characters in a row, it's better to configure the padding or margin in cascade style sheets. Ampersand quote, ampersand number 39, ampersand copy, ampersand amp, ampersand non-breaking SP. You need a statement terminator. Ampersand m dash, ampersand number 124 vertical long breaking space. Structural element. HTML5 introduces a number of semantic structural elements that can be used to configure specific areas of a web page. These new HTML5 header, nav, main, footer elements are intended to be used in conjunction with the div and other elements to structure web page documents. Don't forget list containers, create a space above it, if I'm correct. All lists run with an empty space above and below it. Description lists can be used to organize terms. Special character structure elements. HTML5 introduces a number of semantic structural elements that can be used to configure specific areas on a web page. These new HTML5 header, nav, main, and footer elements are intended to be used in conjunction with div and other elements to structure a web page document in a more meaningful manner that indicates the purpose of each structural area. The diagrams of a page, which is called a wireframe, indicates how the structure of a web page should be configured with a header, nav, main, div, footer, and span element. Span is basically when none of the structural elements make sense. It's a non-semantic element. It's a structural non-semantic element, if I'm correct. It's an inline non-semantic element. Okay, header. Div has been used to configure a generic structural area or division on a web page as a block display with an empty space above and below. A div element tag or div and a div container that's open and closed. It's not a use a div element when you need to format area web page that may contain other block display elements such as headings, paragraph, unordered list, and other. So we use div if it needs a heading. It's paragraph or unordered list or even other div elements. You'll use cascading styles to configure style and configure the color. Header element preface is a header element that contains headings of either a web page document or an area within the document, such as the section or article element. The header element is the header container, is a structural element introduced in HTML5. The header element is block display and typically contains one or more heading level elements. Nav element. To contain a section navigation links, the block display nav element begins with the nav tag and ends with the nav tag. The main element, its purpose of the main element is to contain the main content of a web page document. The block display main element begins and ends with the main container tag. These are all structural element. Footer structural element. The purpose of the footer structural element is to contain the footer content of a web page and section of a web page. The block is like the site map is in the footer, stuff like that. All of them are tabbed, all of them are nested inside the body. Header H1, footer, header H1, anything in it nested. Section element. To indicate a section of a document such as a chapter or topic, this block display element begins and ends with the section container element, container tag. It could contain header, footer, section, article, aside, figure, div, and other elements needed to configure the content. The article is intended to present an independent entry, such as a blog post and comment, each on article that could stand on its own. This block display element begins and ends with the to article container text. It could contain header, footer, section, aside, figure, div, and other elements needed to configure the content. The aside element is a sidebar or other tangential content. The block is a block or structural element, begins and ends with aside. It could contain header, footer. Okay, I gotta check the book. What the fuck? What did they say about the aside? I gotta go ITWP, notes, drag this to the EPUB file reader. What does it mean? It's chapter 4. Key terms, aside. It's not chapter 4, this is chapter 2. Not chapter 4, this is chapter 2. I gotta check Google. Google trusty Bing actually. There I go. With this times in Roman 12. Let's change this. 12. Bold, 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 bold. Times New Roman. The assigned element to container for information considered to be slightly only related to that document. Okay. Let's continue again. The time element. Time element represents the date or time. The time element is not a structural element, but it's included here because it is useful to identify the date of content. The inline display time element begins and ends with display settings. Extended displays. Few changes. Okay. Okay, now this here, move OBS to over here. Let me see if it's still working. Yes, it's still working. Let me move speech chat. Do it. Does speech chat even open? Speech chat over here. OBS over here. This over here. This over here. This over here. This over here. The time element represents a date or time. The time element is not a structural element, but is included here because it is useful to identify the date of content. The inline display. Oh, I gotta check something. Home modules. Module 2. Objectives and weekly. Sent. Apply the image to add graphics to web page. HTML5 elements. Caption and figure. Describe, meet, and progress elements. Discuss CSS3 background properties. Configure images as hyperlinks. I know how to do. Discuss using color within a web page. Code relative hyperlinks to web pages in a folder. Configure a hyperlink to a name fragment. That's the homework assignment. Okay. Let me check the weekly schedule. Homework 2. Lesson 8, create a list. I think I know how to create lists. Yes, I know how to create lists. Okay. Tables. Next week is tables. So next week is midterm exam questions. 5. My birthday is fucking due. All this shit. She's giving us an extra week to do it. That's why. No. It's everything due on my birthday. So it's all the fucking courses together. Fuck me. Yeah. When I do the quiz, I'm gonna turn off the stream totally. I'm not even gonna be here. I'm gonna do it. I'm not even gonna record it. I'm not even gonna stream when I do the quiz. It's well, I'm gonna on Saturday. I'm gonna start talking once I do the quiz. Shut off the stream. Wait a minute. Shut off the stream. The way I'm gonna do it is on Saturday I do one. Sunday I do one. The time element represents a date or time. The time element is not a structural element. Time element is The time element represents a date or time. The time element is not a structural element, but it is included here because it is used to identify the data content. We use the time container tag. It's an inline display element, begins and ends with the time tag. An optional date time attribute can be used to specify a calendar or time in a machine readable format. Use year, month, date for the date. Use a 24-hour clock with hour and minutes. Time attribute, time, date, time, or time, date, time. Look at the title, time, date, time. Hyperlinks. A element is an anchor element to specify a hyperlink, often referred to as a link. Each anchor begins and ends with the A text to website. A type attribute configures a hyperlink. The hyperlink reference attribute to configure the hyperlink, which identifies the name and location of the file to access. Code for the anchor tags. Hyperlink location title. You gotta use alt as well. Actual indicates the actual location of resource. Use actual when you need to link to resources on other websites. The href includes the protocol. You gotta make sure what's for teacher, professors, and what's the absolute hyperlink. It's just your it links to other websites. Always start with a slash. Absolute hyperlink start with uh oh my god, stop redirecting me. Miss oh A triple I see. Always begin from the root level. Ah, I see. That's why it always so it goes from right to left. Hmm. It goes root level, right? So this is the file slash file and the folder name. Okay, I gotta check what it means to start at the root level. If it means to start at the root level. Text align center. Oh, root folder. Ah, that's why. Okay. Okay, that's why it starts. Please begin from the root level, contains the full path to the document But while you are referencing slash use to define the parts of a path name. Let me copy this example, tab it. This, then this, and this. It starts this. Starts this root level. This is the root level. This is just a domain name. This is the root level. This is just a domain. This is the root level, blah, blah, blah. And change depending upon what page are located. Starts from the directory which the browser is currently working in, the directory that contains active document. We're linking on the website. That's the file path over here. See, this is just a domain name. That's a domain name. This is a full qualified FQLTD, one of them. Full qualified domain name. Relative links to web pages within your site. Relative links to web pages with absolute. In the case of absolute location, we'll use absolute hyperlink when you need to link to sources, resources on other websites. Links to other websites always start with a slash. After they're like the for HTTP protocol, the domain name, HTTP protocol, the web server or host domain, the domain name, and with the top level domain, then that's where the location is. We activate the first the root folder, and from the root folder we call it. Hi Isabeth. How are you? I'm just studying. The href value for an absolute hyperlink to the home page of a website includes http :// domain name. If we want to access a web page other than the home page, we include specific folder name. Relative hyperlinks. Links to web pages within your site can change depending on what page the links are located on. Start from the directory in which the browser is currently working in. The directory that contains the active document does not begin with the HTTP protocol and does not include with relative. It does not include it right away. You just access the file. That's the root folder. But yeah, it starts with that. But that's the root folder. That's the user HTML files, but we still need the location, the domain name to access it. href value only contained on the phone. Well, this is like if you're on another server and you want to access it or something like that. The absolute path. Link to web pages within can change depending upon what page the links are located on. Start from the directory in which the browser is currently working in. The directory that contains the active document does not begin with HTTP. href only contains the file name or file name folder of the web page you want to display. The hyperlink location is relative to the page currently being displayed. Sitemap represents the structure or organization of pages in a website in a visual manner. Like It shows you how you want to connect them, your home page, the services, the contacts, and stuff like that. The target attribute, you can configure the target attribute on an anchor element with the target blank to open a hyperlink in a new browser window or browser tab. Can control if it opens in a new tab or new windows. It's based on the user browser configuration. The block anchor is typically to use anchor tags to configure phrases or even just a single word as a hyperlink. HTML5 provides a new function for an anchor element, the block anchor. A block anchor can configure one or more even though they display blocks such as div, h1, and paragraph as a hyperlink. Oh, we can use the anchor tag inside of it. We can denote like a paragraph. That's pretty interesting. Oh, we can denote. That's why we can link to a certain section. We can jump. We can jump from here to here to here to here to here. Email hyperlinks. Anchor text can also be used to create email hyperlinks. An email hyperlink will automatically launch to the default mail program configured for the browser. Different, similar to hyperlink, except it uses mail too. So instead of HTTP, and let's say it's the main name, so we're using HTTP when you access the mail to it automatically opens the default email program configured to the browser. Span.span is an inline non-semantic element. That means you use it in the line. It's a non-semantic element where you should only use it if you can't think of a better semantic text element to wrap your content or if you don't want to add any specific meaning. A semantic element clearly describes its meaning to both the browser and developer, and its container tag or element tag. It clearly defines what it does, configuring rules and borders. Horizontal rule element. The horizontal rule element, it visually separates areas of a page and configures horizontal lines across the web page. It does not contain any text. It is coded as a void tag and not in a pair of opening, which means a void tag. It's standalone HR and not like together like an anchor tag. The new semantic meaning HTML5 it can be used to indicate a thematic break or change of content. The border and padding properties. Two cascade style sheet properties that could be configured for the box. The border and padding properties. It configures the border properties configures the border and bounding around an element. By default, a border has a width set to 0 and does not display. You can set the border width, border color, and border styles with the border property. Let me bold this. You can configure individual settings for the top, right, bottom, left border using the border top, right, bottom, and left properties. Border style property configures the type of line displayed on the border. Border options include inset, outset, double, grove, ridge, solid, dash, and dotted, not uniformly applied by all browsers. Cascade styles to configure the borders. A shorthand notation that allows you to configure all border properties in one style rule by listing the values of border width, border style, and border color. Border width, border style, and border color using the shorthand notation. The padding property configures the empty space between the content, the HTML element, and the border. By default, padding is set to 0. Configure a background color for an element. The color applies to both the padding and the content areas. The padding property can be configured with a variety of values, including pixels, EM units, and percentages. The background configures multiple properties related to the background. Can configure multiple background images. The background can configure multiple background images. The background attachment configures whether the background image is scrolled with the page or fixed in place. The background clip configures the background painting area. Configures the background painting area. The background image is of an element. Let me see the let me Want to see what I got on this programming assignments. Let me see. 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 Online text. LIC. Background property. CSS property that configured. I have to because sometimes configures rounded corners of on an element. Okay, that's good. Border style. Where's the style of border? No, it's border style property. There's style border. Bordered with. Okay, here's another one. Border with property configures the configures thickness of the border. Box shadow. Configures a shadow effect on a block display element. Cinematograph. Cinematograph. Type of animated GIF or PNG with small changes. There's a square image associated with a web page. Job icon. Square image associated with a web page. Okay, that's good. Fab caption elements. They configure the caption. Bag. Big. Big. Damn, why did I say that? Big caption. We gotta be very careful here. Gotta be very careful. It's a big caption now. It's not the other word. They configure the self-contained unit of content such as image. Image? Big oh. Figure. Gamma. Uh, GIF. With blending of shade from one color to another. A hotspot. Control rule. Configures a horizontal line. Figures a horizontal line. HSLA. Color notification. Image link. Hyperlink. Displays a clickable image. Use map, image map. Configure with multiple clickable areas. Image optimization. Configures the graphic image element. Yeah. Elements. Interlace image. GIF is interlaced. JPEG. JPEG is progressive. JPEG is progressive. GIF is interlaced. JPEG. Linear. Lossless. Lossy. Lossy compression, lossless compression. Max width property. Although property. Let me check max width. Configures the maximum width for an element. Max width property configures the maximum width of an element. HTML element displays meter with a specified range. Oh, with a specified range, that's a meter. Specified max min value. That's a meter. Minimum width an element. Min width property figures the minimum width of element. Opacity property. Opacity property configures the transparency of an element. The area between the content padding. Padding is the area between the content and border of an element. It configures border padding property. Padding property configures the top, right, bottom, and left areas between the content and border of an element. Okay, let's continue. That's pixelation, PNG. Typography supports millions of colors and transparency. GIF. GIF supports millions of colors. Oh, since GIF is automatically destroyed. So it's both millions of colors and transparency is PNG. Bar represent an numerical value. Bar. It's not only displays a bar representing a bar and a visual gauge. Visual gauge is a meter element. Well, bar is progress. The visual gauge is meter, and a bar is progress. Providing baseline function and increasing the richness of using. That's progressive enhancement. Interlacing. No, a JPEG, I mean that's progressive JPEG. Progressive is JPEG, interlacing is GIF. There's radial gradient. Okay, I need to find RGBA. RGBA. Oh. Color system supports transparency and uses decimal color values. The visual dimensions of a pixel resolution. So it's the visual dimensions of pixels on a device. Right. Image file that contains multiple small graph that configures as background images. Okay. The file name Hello Academy Impossible. Source attributes and also figures HTML attribute that configures the file name of an image. A small image configures that the thumbnail image. Thumbnail. Small image configured image link to a larger version of the image. Text shadow. Nope, the text shadow. So property text shadow property configures a shadow effect on text. A feature of GIF, PNG, and WebP images that are not completely opaque. Transparency. Transparency is a feature of GIF, PNG, WebP images that are not completely opaque. The associated image element with image map. Use map attribute. Use map attribute is a HTML attribute that associates an image element with a map element. It offers improved conversion with WebP. Okay, that's what I'm going to do from now on. Let's start at the top. Not the top, but the padding property. It configures empty space between the content WebP. No, not WebP. It configures the empty space between the content of the HTML element, usually text, and the border. By default, padding is set to 0. It configures a background color for the element. The color, by default, the color is applied to both the padding and content. Padding probably can be configured with a variety of values, including pixels, young units, and percentages. The background clip property confines a background image. The background image property configures a graphic as a background. The background origin property positions the background image relative to the content, padding, or border. The background position property configures the placement of the background image. Origin positions the background image relative to the content, padding, or border, while the background position property configures the placement of the background image. The background repeat property configures how a background image will repeat. The border is the area between the padding and the margin of an element. The border property configures color, width, and style of a border. The border style property configures the style of the border. The border width property configures the thickness of the border. Max width property configures the maximum width of the property. Min width property configures the minimum width of an element. Opacity property configures the transparency of an element. Padding is the area between the content and the border of an element. Padding property configures the top, right, bottom, left areas between the content and border of an element. Resolution is the visual dimensions of a pixel on the device. Resolution is the visual dimensions of pixels on the device. The text shadow property configures the shadow effect on text. Transparency is a feature of GIF, PNG, and WebP images that are not completely opaque. The useMap attribute is an HTML attribute that associates an image element with a map element. Table 4.1 background configures multiple properties related to the background. Background property configures multiple properties related to the background. Configure multiple background images. The background attachment configures with the background image is scrolled with the page or is fixed in place. The background clip configures the background painting area. The background image is the background image of an element. The disable image display is non-default. Background origin configures the background positioning area, the original position of the area. Background position, you indicate where the position starts. Configures the position, how you position it. Through the padding box, border box, and content box. It basically tells you how to position it, like boom, boom. Or should it fill it? Should it slightly fill it, or should it be right at the edge fill it? Background position. You can use two numeric percentage of the first value is horizontal. You can indicate where you want it to start. Background controls how the background image will be. Background size configures or resizes the background image. Border is a shorthand notation to configure the value of border width, border style, and border color of an element. Border shorthand notation to configure the border of the element. Border bottom left radius configures the rounded corners of the bottom left of a border. Bottom right radius configures the rounded corners of the bottom right corner of a border. Border color, the color of a border around the element. Border left shorthand notation configures the left border of an element. Border radius configures rounded corners on an element. Border right shorthand notation to configure the right border of an element. Border style, the type of border around an element. Border top shorthand notation to configure the top border. Border top. Border top is a shorthand notation to configure the top border of an element. Border top left radius configures around the top left corner. This Cascade style sheet 3 property is not supported in all browsers. So border top right radius configures it around the top right corner. Border width, the width of a border around an element. Box shadow configures a drop shadow on an element. The height of an element configures a linear blending of shades from one color to another. Max width configures a maximum width of an element. Opacity configures the transparency of an element. Padding is a shorthand notation to configure the amount of padding, the blank space between the element and its border. Padding bottom, blank space between the element and its border. Padding left, blank space between the element and its left border. Padding right, blank space between the element and its right border. Padding top, blank space between the element and its top border. Radial configures a radial circle blending of shades from one color to another. No. From the middle and goes out. Padding, border bottom, border top. Graphics on the web. Graphic interchange format. GIF is an image format that is best used for line drawings containing solid tones and simple images such as clip arts. Or line drawings and clip art. Maximum number of colors 256. Uses .gif file extensions. Solid tone, simple colors, and line drawings. Solid tone, simple images. Solid tones, clip art, and line drawings. Transparency used by GIFs to support image transparency in the graphic. One color, typically the background color of the image, can be set to transparent. The background color of the image of a web page shows through the transparent area. With a GIF, you can animate. GIF consists of multiple images or frames, each with slightly different where the frames display on the screen in order the image appears animated. Compression. Lossless compression is used when a GIF is saved. This means nothing in the original image is lost, and the compressed image, when rendered by a browser, will contain the same pixels as the original. Optimization. Graphic files should be optimized for the web. Photos taken with a digital camera are too large in size. Image optimization is the process of creating an image with the lowest file size that still renders a good quality image. Balancing. You must balance image quality and file size. Keep page speed and page load in mind. Page load times in mind. Photos need to be put through an image editor to optimize the image before using it within your web page. You reduce the file size, reduce the dimensions to the actual width and height. You reduce images whenever possible. Image file size versus image quality. The image load time uses appropriate resolution. You specify image dimensions with height and width attributes. Be aware of brightness and contrast, which is gamma, stuff like that. GIF images are typically optimized by using a graphics application to reduce the number of colors in the image. Interlacing. GIFs use interlacing, which is the browser renders documents line by line, top to bottom as well. When a GIF graphic file .gif graphic file is created, it can compute it as interlace. An interlace image progressively displays and seems to fade in as it downloads. It appears fuzzy but gradually becomes clearer and sharper, which can reduce the perceived load time. Interlace image appears fuzzy but gradually becomes clearer and sharper, which can reduce the perceived load time on your page. The joint photographic exposed group JPEG is best used for photographs. Contains 16.7 million colors. It cannot be transparent and it cannot be animated. Its compression is saved using lossy compression, which pixels are lost or removed from the compressed file. It will never render a display as the original image. Hello, Chatsted. Hello, Parmegon. Hello, Chatsted. Right now, I am studying. Just doing college stuff right now. After I study, I'm gonna start a couple of a discussion assignment and the homework and do and finish the homework assignment, and we will see what we go on. Then I do my C++ work. That's what basically I'm doing. I cannot drink water until I read through all of this. Then I drink water. Then I do the homework assignment. Then do the part one of the discussion assignment. Drink some more water, and to pace myself, drink water when I finish something. To teach myself to drink, I get more water. I roll myself with water, and to keep let's get away from pop as well. You give yourself a goal. Progressive JPEG can be configured as compressor save. The optimization, you got to be careful with JPEG because you have less compression, which means higher quality, but you have a higher file size. When you have more compression, it's less quality, you have less file size. Graphic applications allows you to render to your choice. Pixelation, square blockiness is something you should avoid. A thumbnail image is a small version of the image. A small image is configured as the image linked to a larger version of the image. Progressive joint photographic export group or JPEG can be configured as progressive when it is created. It is similar to interlace. It feels fuzzy and blah. Portable network graphic is an image form developed initially as a replacement for the GIF image format. It's pronounced PNG. PNG is not pronounced PNG. It's pronounced ping. It supports millions of colors of variable transparency levels and interlacing. A portable network graphic uses lossless compression, so the image can be perfectly reconstructed after being compressed to reduce file size. It's animated. It's not supported by PNG images. Same with JPEG. PNG does not support animation. PNG supports millions of color, variable transparency levels, and interlacing. This is why you see a lot of developers and stuff like that. Game developers use PNG because it supports millions of colors. If they want JPEG, they produce it as JPEG, but usually they don't have millions of colors and stuff like that when 2D game developers. Animation or they use like a sprite sheet, or they right away they save it like a sprite sheet and they right away support that way. Animation is not supported by PNG images. It's supported by most modern browsers. WebP image format was introduced in 2010, supported in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, and Safari browsers. Offers improved file compression over other types of images used on the web. Pronounced WebP, not WebP, WebP. Can support millions of colors, transparencies, and animation, but no interlacing. It has to be boom right away. You have to wait for it to appear. Supports both lossy and lossless compression. WebP on average, based on Google, has a 26% less file size than PNG ping and JPEG versus JPEG. It was variable file size reduction of 25 to 34%. Many browsers are starting to support it. A GIF.zip file is uses lossless comparison, has transparency, has animation, has 256 colors, and it's interlaced. JPEG.jpg or .jpeg uses lossy compression, no transparency, no animation, millions of colors, and progressive display. PNG has the .png extension tag, lossless, it's transparent, no animation, millions of colors, and interlacing. WebP extension is lossy and lossless, transparent. You can have animation, you can have millions of colors, but no progressive display. It has to display at once. Adobe Photoshop, GIF, and Sketch are popular graphic applications. Image editing tools are GIMP, Pixel X, Pixel R, Adobe Photoshop. Image element configures graphic on the web page. The void element is a void image element is a void element and is not coded in a self-contained element, or void element is not coded in a pair of opening and closing tags. Image, source, height, width, alt, title. Source attribute specifies the name of the file. It's an HTML attribute that configures the file name of an image. The alt attribute provides the text replacement of the image. Always include this for accessibility purposes and include the title rule. Browsers reserve the correct amount of space if you use the height and width. It provides accurate height and width to avoid aspect ratio warping. This is how the image is split, or it can be stretched. Attributes of an image: align. You align it. But we're not using the image element. We're going to use the CSS float or position property instead. Text all elements, height, image in pixels. ID is a text and alphanumeric begin with a letter, no spaces. The value must be unique and not used for other ID values on the same web page document. ID you can only use it once. Long description. URL of a resource that contains an accessible description of a complex image. SRC, the URL of file name of the image. SRC set HTML 5.1 attribute that supports the browser display of responsive images. Title is a text phrase containing advisory information about the image, typically more descriptive than alt text. Width of an image in pixels. Accessibility and images. You always use the alt attribute to provide accessibility. Use the alt text to describe the image, what the image is, and what it means, especially if people are colorblind. No text longer than 100 characters. Don't use picture, image, or graphic image. Don't use the picture, image, or graphic as the value of the alt attribute. Of course. Image hyperlinks. To create an image link, you must hyperlink that displays a clickable image. All you need to do is surround the image tag within the anchor tags. A href and the index. So we just link where it is. We give it the source, height, alt, and title. Then we get a thumbnail image link is a small image configured as an image link with the href attribute value that points to another image file instead of a web page. It points to another image. Oh, so if you want to view a bigger picture of it. Whether the main navigation consists of media such as image. The web navigation that accessible configure a set of plain text navigation links. Copy the nav element container Configure a green background for the ID name bar. Some browsers display a border around image links by default. Prevent the border displaying by setting the border property to none for the image element section. This is the style. This is accessibility, image, and hyperlinks. Add a row, plain text, navigation in the page footer. Configure the alt attribute for each image to contain the exact text that displays in the image, like home. Is your image really not? Do you code in HTML and CSS correctly? Does your image have the exact file name? Fact. When you create an image file, use all lowercase. Don't use punctuation, symbols, or spaces. Don't change the file name extension. Keep it short, but not too short. All images should reside in an image folder or access for all CSS should have a separate folder. All JavaScript, not Java. JavaScript and Java are not the same, even though they have the same name, which is just a coincidence. More visual elements. Figure and fig caption elements. A figure element comprises a unit of content that is a self-contained unit of content. A figure element comprises a unit of content that is a self-contained unit of content. So it's an image along with one optional fig caption element. The block display figure element comprises a unit of content that is self-contained, such as an image along with another with one optional content. The block display fig caption element provides a caption for the figure. Launch the text editor and open the chapter. Blah blah blah. Image all tropical island. Title tropical island. Configure a caption and border for the image. To do so, launch a text and open the web page. Add embedded CSS to the head section ID and in figure. All tropical island. Style figure. This is over the board, and we use slash figure to overload it. Figure. Image. We give the image. Underneath we give fig caption. Meter display the visual gauge of numeric value within a known range. A meter element displays the visual gauge of a numeric value within a known range. Known slash specific range. Typically as part of a bar chart. Configured with several attributes, including value, min, and max. Displays a bar that depicts progress is bar, meter is visual. This progress displays a bar that depicts a numeric value within a specific range. It's to progress, value, max. We don't put min in here. Background images. CSS has a easy way to implement a background image into a web page and adjust for transparency and opacity. Use background color, then the background image property. So if the background image fails to work on the browser, the color can be used in lieu of it. A background can interfere with the readability of the text and other elements on a web page. They should be subtle, dimmed, and not busy. Be careful of the file, keep them small and use repeat, and keep them simple. Background image property. To configure a background image body, 1 second.
يعني شلون ما تشوف لا ضوء ولا شيء تدفع 5 يعني وقت كنت ساعة 8 وقتيات كهربائي قبل يرد 7 ونص دفعت ايه يعني ادفع 5 اكلاتي كلها بتاعت عدلت الدشواشر نظفت اللي هناك خليتوها هناك مرت اللي سويت الاكل لا مرت اللي لا ما
CSS provides a method. CSS provides a method. CSS provides a method. Property. Call the linear gradient function as the value of a background image property and indicate the direction of the gradient by coding the keyword. I want to see if my mother made food. I'll be back and we'll do the discussion assignment first. We always start with the discussion assignment. Let me check my editing. I check my editing work class CPP homework 2, then my quiz. This is week 2. Then after I do this, I read through it. I read through my CPP one. Then first I read through my everyday. I read through that. Then I read through my CPP. When I start my CPP, I read through it, do the lecture notes, and do stuff like that. And then we continue. Well, let me see if my professor graded it. Okay. 1 second. I'll be back.